Good morning. Good morning and welcome to the Ventura Center for Spiritual Living. What? I'm Reverend Bonnie Rose, and it's great to see you here. Why don't we stand up? We'll sing our celebration service, starting with the hymn on the left side of your program. I'm gonna live so God can use me. Here we go. As we breathe in deeply and allow ourselves to settle into the wisdom of this sacred gathering, brought together here by divine appointment. We breathe, we relax, we let go, and we listen to the words of our sacred reading.
A prayer by Tosha Silver, author of It's Not Your Money. I invite everyone to close your eyes and listen deeply to the Change Me prayer. Divine Beloved, change me into someone who can give with complete ease and abundance, knowing you are the unlimited source of all. Let me be an easy, open conduit for your prosperity. Let me trust that all my own needs are always met in amazing ways, and it is safe to give freely as my heart guides me. And equally, please change me into someone who can feel wildly open to receiving. Let me know my own value, beauty, and worthiness without question. Let me allow others the supreme pleasure of giving to me. Let me feel worthy to receive in every possible way. And let me extend kindness to all who need, feeling compassion and understanding even in the hardest situations. Change me into one who can fully love, forgive, and accept myself, so I may carry your light without restriction. Let everything that needs to go, go. Let everything that needs to come, come. I am utterly your own. You are me, and I am you. We are one. All is well. Amen.
Amen. And so we breathe into that wonder of grace, the power and the presence of the infinite absolute that is our destiny. It is who we are right now. We accept that, knowing that another name for the infinite is I am. Together we sing, I am remembering who I am, and we know this truth for ourselves, for every single person in this room, but most especially, we use this knowledge and this heartfelt compassion to know the truth of oneness for all beings everywhere. May our song be a blessing to the world as we sing together, I am remembering who I am. I am. Let us breathe in deeply in profound remembrance of the I am presence. And then exhale, opening our eyes in love and in service to what is, as it is, and so it is.
Good morning. And it is a good one, isn't it? Beautiful day, beautiful day. I had such a wonderful drive in from Los Angeles, and I was struck by the profound beauty of everything. Oh my God, it's gorgeous. And then realizing that all of this here is here to support me. So I invite you to join me in a vision of the divine in the form of 2 songs. The first is an exploration of what a day might be like in a world that truly works for everyone. This is called Wide World. I'm sitting outside with a cup of hot tea, checking out the panorama of the world before me. I'm saying, how do you do? I got the sun in the sky and the earth under my feet, the trees blowing blessings and lessons all over me. It's saying, we love you. Ain't it a wide world? Ain't it a wide world? Where the sweet Mr. Smitty, while his niece is in town, he walks her puggle named Kitty, all bouncing black and brown. I'm saying, how do you do? And there's Doris and Morris, they got married last June. She does yoga in the morning, he prefers the afternoon. I hear them saying, I love you, baby. Ain't it a wide world? All of us one underneath the sweet sun. It's a wide world. Yes, yes. Ain't it a wide world? So many souls to know and so much love to show. It's a wide world. Yes, yes. When I close my eyes, all I see is light, light and life and love, all that's good and right. So with eyes wide open, I know that goodness and mercy just follow me all my days, all my days, all my days. I see the farmers market's got a lot of people today that live in local and organic, and as they pass my way, I'm saying how y'all doing? Well, there's a lady having trouble with the bags over there, and right away another lady, so sister, have no care. I'll help you, I love you. Ain't it a wide world? All of us one underneath the sweet sun. It's a wide world. Yes, yes. Ain't it a wide world? So many souls to know and so much love to show. It's a wide world, wide world. Hey, ain't it a wide world? If a difference is to be, let it begin with me. Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's a wide world. Ain't it a wide world? So many souls to know and so much love to show. It's a wide, wide world. I got the moon in the sky and the earth under my feet, the saints and ancestors blowing blessings all over me. I can hear them saying, we love you. We love you. Oh, oh, oh.
You. So it's my honor this morning to introduce our guest speakers. Before I do that, though, I'm wondering, is anybody puzzled as to why we had a pig and a goat on the stage? Just occurred to me that maybe not everybody understands. Yeah, not anymore. They're part of our Christmas animal team. That Tina brings her animals every Christmas, and Tina is truly an ambassador for the animal kingdom, and the animals are also ambassadors and ambassadors for the animal kingdom. And I invited them today because one of our guests, Ari Nessel, is a true advocate for animals, and just thought it would be a nice combination. So. We have a practice when cell phones go off in my class. We go, yay! Because even something that looks like it might be a mistake is actually a blessing. And I consider that to be true for cell phones going off in service and pigs who won't get off the stage and all kinds of stuff like that. So everything's a yay. Okay, so I've been tasked with summarizing service space in 2 minutes. So Service Space was started by Nipun Mehta and some friends about 20 years ago when Nipun was sort of climbing his way up the Silicon Valley ladder and decided he had already made enough money and he wanted to volunteer. So he started giving away his money and then his time and then himself. And they started this organization called Service Space. It was called something different at that time. But the gist of it was to help nonprofits with building websites for free. This quickly morphed into something wonderful, and they now have over 500,000 involved, committed volunteers in Service Space. They have many portals of influence, such as Daily Good, which publishes a daily good news story every single day. Kind Spring, they have Kind Spring for kids. They have just retreats and a beautiful facility up in Marin County, and it's all done with volunteers and some guiding principles such as focus on the small, lead by inner transformation, and we don't fundraise, we work with what we have. So Nipun has been a shining example of this for our center. His influence and Service Space's influence in our center has been magnificent. So many things have happened here. The trajectory of this center has changed because of Nipun's influence. We brought in 17 children from India, the Jai Jagat children. That was a powerful thing where I felt like, many people felt like they healed us versus the other way around. And we do priceless pricing now, which is an offshoot of Service Space. The philosophy, the kindness ministry, the philosophy of many small acts of kindness, focusing on the good, amplifying the good, heart pins, so much. I could go on forever, but I know you want to hear Nipun and Ari speak, so I'm going to go ahead and call Nipun up to the stage, and let's give him some Ventura love. Have fun.
Thank you. I love it. Thank you. I saw this coming in, small yet significant acts of kindness. I love the way you mentioned it, and I think we failed because the first one says park a little farther from the church so someone else can park. So we need to work on that for next time. We parked right up front. It's a real pleasure and a joy to be here. It always feels like I'm in the middle of family, and you know, I think I'm a little jealous of you guys. That's probably not a very spiritual thing for me to feel, but you know, you guys get Bonnie every week, so you guys are a lucky bunch. Thank you for having us. I think my claim to fame is becoming that I bring other guests with me, so I'm sort of the chauffeur, and I have an incredible guest this time as well, whom I'll introduce. But as Hugh was reading this morning, which was very moving, thank you, and that was a very powerful poem. Oh, yeah, it's all perfectly imperfect. Yay! This idea of giving and receiving and sing with the process. I'm so familiar with this church that I can just change mics if you'd like. That's nice. All right, that'll work. Are you good with that? Okay. I might change a few other things here too. Yeah. You better watch out. This is dangerous to call me family, right? Going back to the beautiful poem and giving and receiving, I was just reminded. I haven't thought of this in a long time, but this very sacred moment, I would say, of philanthropy, of generosity that I experienced when I was in college. It was like one of these mornings where I haven't slept too much, and I'm like cramming. I've got a midterm. I'm on the way, and on the way, I somehow see this man hobbling to catch the bus. And I realize that the bus is kind of zooming past him, and this guy's like, he has his cane, and he's like really trying, and I just see that he's going to miss this bus. And it's all happening. I'm sort of far away from it, and I don't know what got in me, but I was like, I just had this overwhelming feeling that I wish I could give him my legs. And of course, that's very irrational. It doesn't make any sense, especially for a computer science guy at UC Berkeley. Like, give your legs, come on, straighten out, man. You got a midterm in 5 minutes, But I dropped everything and I sat down on the streets, and I don't know. Maybe you'd call it prayer. I don't even know what to call it. But I just wished him love. And the bus goes past him. He misses the bus. And I had my eyes closed, and I could see that he was going to miss his bus. But right after that, as I opened my eyes, I noticed that the bus driver stops a little farther up, gets out, and tells this guy, come on in. And it was such nothing was exchanged in a way. And he doesn't know me. I was so far back, But it was such a sacred moment of connection. I felt connected. And even if the bus driver hadn't stopped and called him in, I still felt a moment of connection, this deep reciprocity that kind of I think we're all bound by. And so today, our wonderful guest is somebody who lives into that philanthropy with all kinds of different capitals. So I want to tell you one story about him before I hand it over to him, because this is sort of it's my favorite story of his. I hope you weren't going to speak about this, because then it's like, punchlines out. Like, I already told you the Ari story. So he went to a meditation retreat. I think it was one of his first ones, and this is like 10 days, no reading, writing, talking. It's like really hard. And so he wanted to leave in the middle. He's like, this is not for people like me. This is for, all like the blessed prayer folks, not me. And so he's like ready to leave. And as he's debating, it's probably not a good idea. I should stick it out. I don't know how it's going to look back home if I tell him I kind of quit, and all this thoughts that he must be going through. And he sees this youngish kid, and he's got a T-shirt, and the T-shirt says happy on it. And he says, oh, I can be happy right now. Like, what am I trying to chase? Where am I going, and where am I running away from, and where am I running towards? And so he just kind of landed in himself, and he's like, oh, I can be happy. And I was like, okay, that's good. And he says, all right, I think I'll go back. So he goes back and he stays. The next day he wants to run away again. Right? And he again sees that happy T-shirt, and he's like, and then I think it happens a third time, and this time he's looking for the happy T-shirt, And at the end, when you're allowed to speak, he goes and finds this fellow, and he says, I just want to come and say thank you, because your T-shirt really kept me in, and this has been so meaningful for me. So thank you. And they start talking like, hey, what do you do? What do you do? And Ari's a businessman. He's a big philanthropist. He does a lot of things in the world. But they didn't talk about that. He was asking him, what do you do? And this guy was like, well, I just go around serving people. I do small things. And he says, well, aren't you worried about tomorrow? Shouldn't you be more responsible and get a job and accumulate? And he's like, no, I'm not too worried about things because I don't have too many attachments. I just like to live in the flow of love. Ari's like, oh, well, that's interesting. And he says, you don't really have too many attachments? And I was like, no, not really. But he says, well, but I do kind of like my shirt, It's a nice shirt. So they had this beautiful conversation. I don't know if he knew. I don't think Ari shared much about him, but they went on. And the next day, it was the last day. He's about to drive out of this meditation center, and he wants to make a contribution, a donation. So he's about to go to the donation table. And lo and behold, he meets Mr. Happy Shirt again, right? And this guy comes up and he says, last night I was thinking about it. I don't have too many attachments, but I do have this one attachment, which is my T-shirt. But I was thinking, why should I be even attached to that? Because if you really love something, you should give it away. And so he said, this is for you. He packed it, and of course he's mentioned, please laundry before using, He had worn it a lot. And so here is Ari going to the donation table, and he's got this shirt with him, and he writes a check to the meditation center, which is what he intended to do. But then he's looking at the shirt, which is on the table, and he's like, I received it. This was the most valuable thing, in all likelihood, that this kid cared for, and he gave me the most valuable thing. He gave me all that he cared for, and he gave it in the spirit of inner transformation. He says, it's one thing to get that, but who do I have to be to truly, genuinely receive that? And so he's reflecting on it, and especially after 10 days of meditation, you gotta get some deep thoughts, right? So he writes another check. He goes to this guy and he gives it to him. He doesn't know who Ari is or what he does in his financial life. And when Ari told his story, he says, that was 18 months ago, and that was a blank check. He could have put any amount on it. I would have let it fly. He gave me all that he had. I wanted to give him all that he has. I don't know his address. I barely know his name. I have no way to contact him. I am still in shared relationship with him. And there's different kinds of giving. Right? We talk about giving, and then one of the ways in which we frame giving is there's beggarly giving, like close-fisted way of giving. You kind of begrudgingly, okay, I should give, I want to give, there's this morals, I'm going to get some karma points, whatever, Then there's the neighborly kind of giving, where you give and you know that you're going to be bound with these other people, and then when you're in need, they'll take care of you, And then there's a kind of subtle reciprocity that's kind of baked in, and you want the security of that reciprocity. But then there is kingly giving. Kingly giving is like you walk in to the king's court, and you're not treated like royalty because you are royalty. You're treated like royalty because the king is just giving regardless of who you are. Sort of like the rose gives its essence, right? Effortlessly, unconditionally, not judging and saying, I like you, you look better, you have a better bank account, you're more spiritual. No, it just gives effortlessly because it is in its own nature. And so Ari is somebody, I would say, who aspires. To be kingly giving is a very high bar, so I'm not going to I'm not just going to lather that onto anybody. But Ari is somebody like me, who I think, and like a lot of us, who aspire to be kingly givers, who through our very presence say, I want to give to you, not because of what you need, not because of what my perceptions tell me, not because of my judgments of that situation, but I want to give because it is in my nature to give, it is in my nature to be connected. So it's a real joy and an honor to know Ari and to invite him up on stage and to include him as a part of our family here in Ventura. Please help me welcome Ari Nassau.
Thank you, brother.
Oh, you already got it.
Oh, no, yeah, I got this. There's a nonprofit I'm part of called the Pollination Project. And we give out small grants for, like, most of them are $1,000 to people around the world. And one of the things that we get back from people, we've given grants out of over 100 countries. And over again, people say that the money was great. We're so grateful for that and what we did with it. But the acknowledgement, that was really what ignited what we were doing and reaffirmed who I was and that was worthy to show up as a volunteer and to be of service to my community. And I just feel so much energy in here of acknowledgement, like how everyone just sees each other so fully. And I feel so fully seen, so when I came up here, I just wanted to look at each of you and just to see you the way and to acknowledge you the way I feel so seen and so grateful. For that welcoming, Bonnie, and innovation you've created here in totality. I guess what I'll talk today is what I would call is my story of compassion. And compassion for me is Thich Nhat Hanh, a famous meditation master, says, is a verb. You know, I think we tend to think of compassion as a felt sense. For me, compassion is an expression of the heart, not just the openness of the heart to suffering. And my story actually starts, very close to here. I was growing up in Michigan. And so what takes back, I feel very, very attached to this area of this part of the world because of this. When I was 13, I grew up in Michigan, and I came to Southern California with my family to visit my cousins. And we went to Venice Beach. That's a great place to visit, to get a feel for Californians and your Michigas, as we call in Yiddish. And so I'm sure most people have been here to Venice Beach, and you've got all the things going on. People are juggling, and people are roller skating, and people are walking on hot coals, hawking things, and much more, punching, lifting weights. But what captivated me was this guy. This is 1986, so I'm 13 years old. This one guy had this information about how animals were confined, mutilated, and slaughtered for food. This is 1986, and this would be pre-Facebook, internet, where it's just really easy to be ignorant of what happens in our industrial food system. And I read it really intently. And at some point, my parents are like, hey, I'm 12 at the time, and they say, hey, all right, time to go. And I say, thank you, and I just keep on walking. 10 years later, I've moved to Southern California. I always felt really at home here. And after being there for a month or so, I'm walking down the same spot, that same area, and I see the same guy. Same guy. I see him like from maybe here to where the end of the room is. I don't even know what his board says this time, but I recognize him. And everything I see 10 years earlier just clicks. And I get it. I'm very slow at learning. My gestation period is obviously longer than most. But I get it, and I get it in a way that is so broad-based. It wasn't just a getting that, this is a system I didn't want to participate in. And that was part of it, that I just didn't want to, I didn't want to contribute to the suffering that I saw 10 years earlier. But I get it in a way that I see that my choices matter. Everything I do has for good. And it also led me to a period of questioning. It's like, oh my gosh, I was doing this 3 times a day. I was this thing that was so obvious to me that I couldn't see. It was the water I swam in. And so I started asking myself, what other unexamined assumptions am I living into? Am I not questioning, not peering behind the veil? And so it led to my spiritual journey. And and that led, actually, what ended up coming to is being, I guess, my second epiphany, which is interesting. What happened is I used to write like in a journal when I was like my late teens, early 20s. And I wrote to myself it would say, "Dear middle-aged Ari." Because what I anticipated was I was going to have a mid-age crisis. And so I thought what I would do is I would write about all these great things I did when I was young. You know, I'd write about like the places I visited, you know, the jumping out of airplanes and sexual conquests and, you know, successes in every part of life. And that, when I would go back and read my diary and my journal, I would look back and say, oh, I've lived a meaningful life. Why am I so depressed? But the second insight I had after, you know, it followed this one a few years later, after I started like having more of a spiritual inquiry, you know, was about like seeing this future where I got everything I wanted, but I didn't want what I got. And so then it was like, so what is it that I should really want? What is it what actually is going to make me look back when I'm 50 and feel like that I exchanged those days and those hours for something that was meaningful, for something that I would not have regrets around. And so I held that, and I was just really receptive. Like, I didn't know the answer. It wasn't clear to me what that was, but it was clear to me the path I was going down of accumulation of experiences was not going to be the panacea for my eternal salvation, my joy. And that led to sort of this receptivity, led to one day I was, you know, I obviously had this predilection, and as Bonnie sort of shared, is towards connecting to those most at our mercy. And, you know, farm animals is really, as that beginning story told, really has been an inroad for me to open my heart. And so I was on this listserv because I had become an animal rights advocate. And, you know, I don't know if you remember listservs where people just send out emails as, you know, communicate now. And someone created this little commercial. It was called Behind Closed Doors. And they wanted to raise money for this commercial to be put on air about, you know, how animals are treated in the industrial food system. And I saw it, and I was like, oh my God, this needs to get out there. And I started, so I said, I'll match everything you, and this early in my business career, and things are going well for me. And I said, I'll match everything you raise the next month. And the woman who runs this organization, you know, works really hard, and she raises a good amount of money. And I write my first check as a if you quote unquote philanthropist. And I started doing the calculations around if 1% of people change their diet and they eat this many animals, how many animals will be reduced from this cruel system. And I get really excited about it, and I started, now I have a purpose for my money. And I start connecting, if I make more money, I can make more money, I can feel approved to do that, and now I can give more away, I can earn to give. And that really allowed me to take my livelihood and turn it into something that was in service. But even after doing that for a while, I would spend 99% of my time, in the process of this system of accumulation, again, in a different kind of accumulation, even though it was for a good purpose, but not really connecting to my heart, not connecting to the part of me that wanted to feel in to the pain of others and to do something about it, not just too quickly jumping into fixing without feeling the sense of oneness. I wanted to become more intimate with the suffering. And I had an opportunity a few years back to go to visit. I went to Mexico and visited these slaughterhouses and industrial agricultural systems. And it was really interesting to me because this opens my heart. And we all have our different ways, things we open our hearts to. It's more accessible. For some person, it's a companion animal. So someone it's a sick mother. It's someone. Another person, it's to seeing the loss of our ecology. So many inroads. And as I went down there, and one of the places I was noticing, I was going to these different facilities. And I'd see all the animals, in just huge numbers, in deep deprivation. And I wasn't, like my heart wasn't opening. I felt really stoic. And I was trying to check in, like what's going on here? It's like I'm doing a documentary and bearing witness, but like it wasn't accessible to me. My longing to feel connected to their pain, for my heart wasn't opening. And so I said after doing this, I went to this one slaughterhouse where these pigs were waiting. It was a small slaughterhouse facility. And they hadn't started their processing yet. And I had an apple. And so I had to be very clandestine, but I started feeding the pig an apple and getting to know it. Because I said, I really want to get to know one of these animals more intimately. And he ate it. And I had to be very, very cool, nonchalant about it because I didn't want them to know that I cared for the animals. The people, it was done under the auspices. We were doing this for a university on how to make slaughter more efficient. And I just felt like I was just connecting to this as an individual. And then when the processing and the slaughter happened, my heart broke. I just felt so much of this, like, I just felt into like my care and longing for this being, as someone who can feel like I can feel. And I realized this truth I've heard is that one death is a statistic, 1,000 or 100 or 1,000,000. One death is a tragedy, and 1,000 or 100 or 1,000,000 is a statistic. Because there is something about us that we can't, on broad scale suffering, it's hard to be intimate. It's hard to be available. We can't, it's too big. Maybe at some point where I'm able to open my heart wide enough where I can take it all in. But for now, and I think for most of us, it needs to be with you, or you, or you. It has to be like a knowing of the individual capacity for pain, and seeing my ability to see in them me, and to see me in them. And in the masses, it just hasn't been accessible to me. So a big part of my life is my children, and I'm always curious about, how do I nurture that seed within them of compassion. And my hypothesis has been that it's not in sort of it's not teaching, or maybe it's a little storytelling, but it's trying to live as an example. That's maybe the most reliable. Plus, I've got so many things going on in my life. My tendency is less about nurturing in the way that my wife's approach to parenting is. So my son turned 12 earlier this year. And we were driving to go to a putt-putt with friends to celebrate. And he saw a homeless person on the drive there. And he said, "Mom, stop. The person can we give some money to that person?" And she's like, "I don't have any money. We have like 5 people in the car. Like cars are piling up behind me. I'm sorry, I can't." And he was really, really dissatisfied with the answer. And he was like going unhappily to his birthday party. And she says to him, "Okay, Jonah, this is how we do. Tomorrow's your actual birthday." This was the day before his birthday. And she says, "Why don't we go tomorrow and do something, to help? Maybe we'll find that man, or we'll find other people who are like him, and try to, do something of benefit." And he says, "Okay." And so the next day, what we did is I took him and his brother, my other son. And we went to a few places to buy socks and underwear, which are commonly really needed by people who don't have homes. They don't have the capacity to wash their clothes. And we bought a lot of stuff to give for him to give. And in fact, he uses some of the money he got from his birthday to buy these as well. And so we went to this place and we handed them out. And at the end, I asked him. I said, "So, what did you notice?" And he said, what I noticed is that we'd give, everything we bought were like 3 packs and 6 packs and 9 packs, but when we gave it to them, they always opened it, and they went to go, their first remarks are, "Oh, I know someone who I can share this with. I know someone who needs socks or needs underwear." And it was so eye-opening to him and to me. It's like, oh wow, the people that I'm serving, or the people that I'm trying to help, they're paying it forward immediately. And in fact, they're giving me a deeper lesson than I live into about what it means to feel abundance. And so I guess I'm trying to figure out the through line or pull this all together. Is is this inquiry about how can and maybe we, if you feel this is a calling for you, how can we be more intimate with the pain around us? How can we not turn our heads? And not only how we turn our heads, but how can we serve that pain so that we are transformed in that service and that people feel whole? There's a quote that I really like, and I'm going to probably mess it up, but it goes something like this. When we see life or others, when we fix, we see life as broken. When we help, we see life as weak. When we serve, we see life as whole. I think my son in that experience, and myself, and through all these also, when I gained to know that pig, I saw the pig as whole. And my son saw this man as whole. And so I just, maybe as a way to reflect for all of us and for me as well, is how do we open our eyes more deeply to the pain that exists in the world, not turn away, but not look at it as that pain, as defining of that being who is feeling that pain. How do we see in ourselves their pain as our pain? And in seeing them as me and me as them, then we've realized our interbeing. And in feeling our interbeing, then maybe can we feel into the oneness that exists all around us. Thank you so much for letting me share.
All right. Just so you know, Nipun and Ari are staying afterwards at 11:30. We'll convene back here, and they'll do some Q&A. We're running a little late, and so we're going to go ahead with a prayer and like that. So let's turn within, and we'll pray. And so we turn within and close our eyes and breathe deeply, if that feels right to you. And we absolutely know that the words that have been spoken here today by both Nipun and Ari are just so wise and so wonderful. We trust that the spirit of the living oneness, the interconnection, the life and the love and the divine has shown us the way, brought us here together by divine appointment to live and to learn and to love and to grow into that ever-deepening space of spirit, that spaciousness. And so today I call forth the spaciousness of heart that can hold everything, that can hold joy and sorrow, that can hold darkness and light, that can hold without holding on, but allows everything to flow through and transform and be transformed. Whatever that means to us today, as a community, as individuals, and as the collective, blessing the entire world, I trust and I know that divine work has been done here this morning together, and that we all leave a little deeper, a little sweeter, a little more willing, a little more trusting, a little more hopeful, kinder, loving, abundant, able to give and receive with such grace and such freedom. And this is good. And so in the spirit of that, I simply give thanks for this morning. I give thanks for our sacred time together. I give thanks for the transformation that I know has occurred here, for it is through our inner transformation that the whole world changes. I bless this spiritual center as I bless all paths to God. Churches, synagogues, temples, mosques, ashrams, fundamentalists, atheists, agnostics, whoever you can name, I bless them. And know that in their own unique and wonderful way, they are a blessing. Even when I can't see it, they are a blessing. And so let us breathe into that blessedness and know that it is good. And in the spirit of this goodness, I release these divine words into the mystery of love, and together we say, and so it is. I am so blessed.
There's a wonderful word in Hebrew, echad, refers to unity, oneness. Every face I see, everywhere I go, every breath I breathe is holy, 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 holy. If you are interested in joining in the spirit of oneness, you will sing with me. Repeat after me. Holy, holy. Holy, holy. One more time. Holy, holy. I'll be back. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. And I don't know if the spirit of dance starts to fill your very being. Go ahead and give way. Every breath I breathe, holy, holy, holy God is breathing me in sweet communion, ecstasy. Every face I see holy, holy, holy God looking back at me through billions of faces. Each is the face of divinity. Holy, holy. Everywhere I go, all this holy, holy, holy God is surrounding me. Brother, sun, and sister moon survey my dominion. Every home in every land is home to me. Wait for it. Holy, holy. There is nothing to condemn. There is nothing to feel guilty for. There is nothing to suppress, nothing to repress. Oh, not anymore, not anymore. 'Cause deep down in my soul, I know God is all there is. So I dance to the rhythm as all creation cries out, holy, holy, oh, holy, oh.